Hello, everyone. This is Adrian Howard with Weather Rampage's Winter Weather Outlook 2019-2020. And I want to be discussing what I think this year will bring in and next year in terms of winter weather for the United States. But first, I want to get into what is El Nino and La Nina. The cold facts. El Nino is a year where the Pacific waters are warmer. La Nina is a year where colder Pacific waters exist. And that is it. That is it. There is nothing complicated about it or anything. It is just colder waters or warmer waters of the Pacific Ocean. Now, what I want to get to discuss is jet streams. This is a jet stream track that I expect this year, where the polar vortex comes down out of Canada and into areas of the East Coast where colder air would be pulled down. And then there is what we call an active subtropical jet stream. I believe those two will play a part, as well as the polar vortex, and bringing colder air and also bringing more precipitation to the northern areas of the U.S., and a little bit less precipitation or average precipitation on the southern regions. So I just kind of wanted to show you this is what this year is looking like. But I will tell you in a minute what I think about what this year is looking like in next year. El Nino and La Nina. El Nino is the prevailing weather pattern for El Nino. Is cooler and wetter in the southern regions. For the northern regions, the weather pattern is usually drier. And this is a little model showing you here how there's a polar jet stream, and then anywhere from the west coast all the way down into Florida, there's an extended Pacific jet stream and amplified storm track where storm systems move in that general location to produce wet conditions and cooler conditions. So that's El Nino. In the La Nina year, the prevailing weather pattern for La Nina is dry weather in the southern regions. For the northern regions, the weather pattern is usually wetter and more mild. So here's the flip side of that. In La Nina, there's usually a drier west coast. Southern states are usually drier, especially Florida and Texas and California. And there's a variable Pacific jet stream instead of a amplified storm track, but a Pacific jet stream, which brings storm systems into the Pacific Northwest, and a polar jet stream is still there, which is kind of the same. But sea surface temperature anomalies, I want to get into that. The sea surface temperature anomaly is where the temperature at the top of millimeter of the ocean surface is measured. An anomaly is a departure from average conditions at irregular intervals, roughly every 3 to 6 years. The sea surface temperatures in the Pacific Ocean along the equator become warmer or cooler than normal. So that is what a sea surface anomaly temperature is, the measurement of that, whether it's warmer or colder. Now, for this year in 2019, I want to take you back as we go all the way back to October the 3rd, 2019. As you can see here, the first on the left side of your screen, there are 3 areas on the left side and 3 areas on the right side. On the first 3 areas of the left side, at the top, you can see that there are cooler waters where I circled there in blues and warmer waters in orange. And then below that is pretty much I circled the area again. And as you can see in that second frame there is warmer water than cooler water. Then in the third frame, it looks like the cooler water tries to come back in spots, and warmer water. And also, as we move to the next frame, which is on the right at the top, cooler water and warmer water, it's like they're trying to battle each other out. And as we head into the next 2 more frames, which are the end frames on the right, it looks like the warmer water and cooler water is trying to win out. But on that last one, it looks like warmer water is trying to win out. So what I'm getting from this scenario that I'm seeing with the sea surface temperature anomalies, it looks like there's going to be either a neutral phase or a slightly weak El Nino, which is setting up for 2019-2020. It looks like is what's going to happen for the year. And this is what I've come up with the temperature forecast. With the temperature forecast, I expect above average temperatures for areas of Portland, Oregon, down into Sacramento, California, down into Los Angeles, down into San Diego, while I expect slightly above average temperatures from Phoenix to Albuquerque, New Mexico, Salt Lake City, Utah, up into Seattle, Washington, and anywhere north of Seattle, Washington, down to Boise City, Idaho, down into Denver, Colorado, or south of Denver, Colorado, into Oklahoma and Texas, south of Oklahoma City and into Dallas, I expect average temperatures. I expect slightly below average temperatures anywhere from Cheyenne, Wyoming, to Wichita, Kansas, to Oklahoma City, to Nashville, to Birmingham, Alabama, to Louisville, Kentucky, to Charlotte, North Carolina, to Columbia, South Carolina, and up into the nation's capital and New York City and Boston. I expect slightly below average temperatures. Less than slightly above average temperatures, I expect from New Orleans, Louisiana, to Tallahassee, Florida, to Orlando, Florida. And below average temperatures, I expect from the Dakotas, which includes Bismarck, Rapid City, Minneapolis, Minnesota, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Chicago, Illinois, Indianapolis, up into State College, Pennsylvania, Syracuse, New York, and up into Maine. And this is what I'm expecting because of those temperatures, those ocean temperatures, which are fluctuating between El Nino and neutral phase. Now, as far as the precipitation forecast, I expect there to be below average precipitation in the west, once again, as you can see, from areas of Oregon down into California, all of California and parts of Nevada, and then slightly below average precipitation from areas of Washington down into areas of Arizona, which includes Phoenix, Arizona, and average precipitation from Oklahoma City up into Wichita, Kansas, up into Denver, Colorado, Albuquerque, New Mexico, Boise City, Idaho, and Seattle, Washington. And for slightly above average precipitation, the Dakotas, Montana, Wyoming, areas of southeast Texas, into areas of the Mississippi Valley. As far as above average precipitation, Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, Kentucky, Wisconsin, Minnesota, areas of Iowa, eastern Iowa, into the Carolinas, areas of the western Carolinas, up into the nation's capital, Washington, D.C., into New York City, and up all the way up into Maine. And I expect way above average precipitation in areas of Detroit, Michigan, Chicago, Illinois, Indianapolis, Indiana, Cincinnati, Ohio, State College, Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and up into Syracuse, New York, as these areas could see a lot more snow, wintry precipitation up into those areas, while the South sees thunderstorms and rain and potential for some wintry precipitation, including ice storms and some winter weather in the form of snow as well. As far as the snow forecast, that's just what I was getting into. I expect pretty much the same in the West Coast, below average snow precipitation from Oregon into California, slightly below average snow precipitation into Phoenix, Arizona, all the way up into Portland, Oregon. Average precipitation for a larger part of the country from Seattle, Washington to Great Falls, Montana, Boise, Idaho, all the way down into Cheyenne, Wyoming, Denver, Colorado, Wichita, Kansas, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, Albuquerque, New Mexico, Dallas, Texas, all the way over into South Carolina and southern areas of North Carolina down into Florida, average precipitation, or average snow. And as far as snow forecast for above average snow, I expect Bismarck, North Dakota to be in above average snow, Rapid City, South Dakota, down into St. Louis, down into Louisville, down into Charlotte, North Carolina to have above average snow, and way above average snow in areas of Minneapolis, Minnesota, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Chicago, Illinois, Des Moines, Iowa, over into our nation's capital, over into New York City, and over into Boston. I expect a way above average snowfall, as like I said in the previous slide, that there should be more precipitation with that storm track being at an amplified phase in the weather pattern. And this is your winter weather outlook for Weather Rampage for 2019-2020. This is Adrian Howard. I will keep you updated with further weather information. And always check me out on Facebook at Weather Rampage with Adrian Howard as I give you future updates. Take care, everyone, and have a nice winter.